Gladstone's is a long-established restaurant in Long Beach offering spectacular food and beautiful views from the outdoor patio overlooking the Long Beach Harbour. Always busy and a favourite of the locals and visitors alike too. This was until COVID-19 reared its head and until COVID politics reared its ugly head. California and Long Beach have some of the toughest restrictions in the entire US. Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom and Democratic Senate hopeful and Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia seem to have little concern for business. We are just going to save you all from that terrible virus, that evil Donald Trump. It's his fault. Joe Biden and Kamala. They will save us. By the way, as Governor Newsom says, wear masks, small gatherings, and don't do what I do. Just as I say. John Sangmeister is the owner of Gladstone's Long Beach. John, thanks for joining us.
Greetings, it's welcome from Long Beach, California.
A lovely part of the world too, and your restaurant. Have been there and I can vouch that it's a beautiful restaurant. Tell us about Gladstone's and how has business been going over the last, say, 6 months?
Well, we opened Gladstone's 16 years ago and we built this restaurant from the ground up. It was a unique opportunity that, my partners and I looked at around and decided that God wasn't making any more coastline in the near future. And we were fortunate to be part of a redevelopment of the downtown Long Beach waterfront. And we're at the keystone of that redevelopment. And we've been thrilled to be here 16 years. We've been what I believe is a growing and vital part of the community. We employ about 150 people annually. Most of my crew is senior tenured for the restaurant industry. I'd say the average tenure in the back of the house is 10 years. Front of the house is probably getting close to 7 years. And things were going along swimmingly until January when the world was struck with COVID. And now it's choppy waters, to say the least.
The governments often attribute the terrible times with business to COVID, but it really is down to the government themselves because they're the ones that bring in these restrictions. Just how bad has the local hospitality industry been affected this year by COVID-19 restrictions in Long Beach?
So my understanding, and this is, I could be wrong, plus or minus 20%. But I think for hotels, their occupancy rates are in the mid-teens, where they're averaging last year was probably in the mid-80s. So you can imagine that level of negative impact. At Gladstone's, we were closed for 200 days. We reopened a month ago. We've been facing a myriad of challenges. We had first the COVID closures, and then as we were coming out of that, we had societal disturbances and we had riots in downtown Long Beach. 175 businesses were attacked and razed in 3 hours, and ours was one of them that sustained significant damage. We had to rebuild, reopen, and then as we got the restaurant reopened a week later after we repaired the damages from the riots, 10 days later, the governor announced that he was going to close on-premise dining again because of a spike in COVID. So we closed again for another 100 days.
The on-site dining, are you allowed to still eat outdoors?
So in Los Angeles County, we've only been allowed to eat outdoors. And that's been a modified number that we've had to go to 50% capacity, or in some cases, we were allowed to expand our dining room beyond our natural borders. So you've been to our restaurant. We're now out onto the pier and on the upper esplanade that surrounds the restaurant. It was a practical and pragmatic solution. We embraced it. We spent a lot of money with outdoor lighting, some heating, some infrastructure. We're fortunate to have a very mild summer, not too hot, not too cold, and the guests embraced it for the 4 weeks that we've been open. And today we got some devastating news.
What is that?
So today the border supervisors, Los Angeles County is ruled by 5 little kings who control 5 districts and the futures of the 10 million citizens of Los Angeles County, they voted 3-2 tonight to suspend all on-premise dining. So if you think about what's going to happen now for us, in 36 hours, in 30 hours, our nation is going to celebrate our National Day of Thanksgiving, which is a significant and wonderful and perhaps our most cherished holiday, because it's one, regardless of race, religion, or creed, this is one we as Americans can really embrace. Because regardless of the challenges that we're facing, there's always something that we can find to express some gratitude about. But tomorrow night, I'm going to lay off 90 of my employees. And citywide in Long Beach, there are 35,000 restaurant workers. And I suspect 40% of them will be laid off. So 12,000 people will be out of work on the day of Thanksgiving. And this stay is ordered through December 21st. And I really doubt that there will be few operators, if we're allowed to reopen on the 21st, that will open until after the New Year's passes. So at a difficult time economically, and this is a holiday season, people are trying to save money, buy gifts for their families. This is normally a very busy season for us professionally. It's a chance to build up an economic cushion for our servers and our staff. We do a lot of parties. Guests are generous. All of that's been dashed to the curb. And if Long Beach is going to lose 12,000 employees, we're 5% of the county of Los Angeles, and our distribution of restaurant employees is probably commensurate with the rest of the county. So we're looking at 250,000 people unemployed on Thanksgiving Day. That's not proper. That's not well thought out.
John, how do they get by then? I mean, they rely on an income from say, Gladstone's, for example, and then they have the tips on the service they give and the beautiful food, so that's an appreciation, basically. If there's none of that, how do they survive? Are there any methods in place from, say, local council? How's the mayor on this?
So we don't have a federal stimulus package anymore. That's been exhausted currently. Mm-hmm. So everyone will apply to the California Department of the EDD, which is our unemployment department, and they'll be granted immediately. They'll get a stipend of $450 US weekly. Mm-hmm. That's not what they're making here at Gladstone's Long Beach. That number's insignificant. So it's not enough. It's simply not enough. I think the politicians did not think through the economic consequences well enough. I think the fear that they've embraced about the disease and the infection right now is not reasonable. Looking in Long Beach, I have to give some credit to our mayor, who I disagree with vehemently because he actively campaigned for this decision. But we've had 268 deaths in Long Beach since the beginning of the infection. 140 of them happened early in the cycle of the infection, and they were in 3 senior living facilities. This was common. We took the sick and infirm when we put them inside nursing homes, thinking that, okay, they already know how to treat acutely sick patients. Well, all it did was spread quickly to the most at risk, and it wiped them all out. So, and that was tragic. But now we've got this remaining 128. So I don't want to discount the 140 that were lost early on, but really 128. Our city is 500,000. We've had 128 deaths in 11 months. It's a lot. Yes, it is. Is it manageable? Yes. We've come off of our highs. In July, we had a high ICU bed rate of 106. That's where we topped out, which was significant, but we never exceeded more than 40% of our total capacity.
Mm.
Now we're at 50. So we're more than halfway below our high water mark. And for some odd reason, we've made this decision to shut the world down because of a supposed spike.
What about financial support then from Council for Business?
Well, I believe that this is really actually a different game altogether than fear of the virus. As the world is aware, we've had an epic battle of a national election in the United States, Trump versus Biden. And along with that are a series of corollary battles underneath that. And one that's been hotly contested is an extension of the PPP, or our payroll protection plan, which was exhausted at the end of June. The Democrats wanted to extend it, but they wanted to additionally add, instead of just take care of the immediate needs, they wanted to take care of bailout packages for the entire financial woes that were non-COVID related. So let's just say for California, they wanted to suddenly erase a $9 billion debt that we've run up. Similarly, Governor Cuomo wants the same. This is a form of pressure against President Trump. I don't know how it will play out. I think that there are many people that are deeply frustrated that the Democrats used to count on as Democratic supporters, and they see this as just not being helpful to their personal lives, and clearly it isn't.
Because Joe Biden wants to basically shut the whole country down, lock it down for a long, dark winter. What do you think that would do to America?
It would be devastating. And the world needs a strong America. America is an imperfect place, but the ideals of America are something that the world aspires to. It's the best in all mankind. And I say the ideals of America, not necessarily how we execute. We are an imperfect nation filled with well-meaning people, and we've made mistakes. But on the whole, the world is better because of America. And I don't say that as a zealot or a nationalist, but as someone who's had the opportunity to travel and live around the world and witness firsthand the generous human spirit of Americans and their ability to be good friends to many in the world.
How do you plan for the future?
We take this a day at a time. Yeah, this is, 10 years ago, as we were coming out of the Great Recession, and I was like, whew, we got through that one. In that Great Recession, America lost 100,000 restaurant seats. It was the first time in a 50-year march of restaurant growth that the net number of restaurant seats declined. Well, that makes today look like a walk in the park. The devastation in the hospitality industry is so deep, and it affects not just the people that are working in the restaurant. Think about every job that's directly in the restaurant. I bet that there's 3 or 4 that are there to support our operations and services. And that's tough. We have liquor vendors, we have grocers, we have drivers, we have gas vendors, we have hotels that we have sales folks that come out and try to sell the services and hospitality of Long Beach, California. They're all gone. Gone. Good jobs. Nice people.
Will they come back?
It will take years.
Will?
I was talking to a dear friend of mine who's a hotelier, and he runs probably 25 solid 3-star, 4-star hotels across the country. And he says, look, we'll just sort of limp through this and we'll be able to service our debt. Our employees are going to just struggle. But first, they're not going to be able to, they've all gone to such deep discounting that just to put heads on pillows, they're not going to be able to take rate for 3 years.
It
They're going to
must.
struggle to get people to overcome their fear of going out, and then we're going to have to figure out how we're going to raise rates and get back in the game.
It must really disappoint you, though, that you see Governor Newsom says, "Do as I say, and not as I do," and then that permeates all the way down. In fact, it's going to start from Washington now, or at the moment anyway. It seems that you'll have this half-baked approach to COVID that we're going to save you all from this terrible disease, but they're failing to understand that without business and you have nothing. You have nothing. I mean, to have local council and the mayor and all those around the mayor and the governor and the president, I mean, they really need to take a reality test pill, don't they? Just to see the devastation that we may not get out of.
None have signed the front side of the paycheck, and that's a problem. And I think without that perspective of how to manage a P&L, how to make a payroll, it's lost on them. I've always had the fantasy that when I become king or when I become mayor, and that's a fantasy, by the way, that I would always add a signature line on every check that comes out of the government. And that would be, we would have a citizen signature randomizer so that Jeff Peck would go on that signature along with the city manager. So for today, we know that Jeff Peck's tax dollars are being acknowledged and his contribution to our society are being acknowledged. And today, we city employees are working with for Jeff Peck. But that's not going to happen.
What about, but just on the subject of politics, which is pretty hard to get away from, Kamala Harris, there's a vacant Senate seat. See that Mayor Robert Garcia may be...
I don't think that's going to happen. I think that forces beyond the mayor's control have already bumped him out of the running.
Wonderful talking. When you get back to normal, and I know how fabulous your food is and the service. It's just one of the great restaurants. In fact, almost the great restaurant because of the views, location, and et cetera.
It's very kind of you.
Well, I can vouch that. But if somebody was to pop down to Long Beach, and we're over all this ugly crap that's happening. We got a vaccine that's doing its job. That thanks to Donald Trump, by the way. We have this wonderful vaccine, getting back to normal.
I can't wait to get the vaccine.
Yes,
sign me up. I was so disappointed in the vice presidential debate when they even gave that even implied some level of doubt of the efficacy or safety of that. Really, that's so inappropriate. It's like no. We want everyone to do this. We don't need a deep conspiracy on the vaccine. We need to get moving forward.
But when we get that vaccine, what would you recommend to someone that was going to pop into your restaurant and spend a few hours doing a bit of damage to the liver, enjoying some fabulous food? What would you suggest?
So that's very kind. And you have to call ahead and let me know that you're coming so that I can charge you double.
Thanks.
Because candidly, we've had such a hole in our P&L this year that we need to make up some lost ground. No, I'm teasing. But look, we've been really lucky. My business partner, Alan Redhead, Blake Christian, Scott Hewitt, and I, we've all been together now for 17 years. We built this restaurant from the ground up. And we were fortunate to work with a superb culinary talent in Pete Lamar. And Pete was with us for nearly 17 years. He's now accepted a position as the head of the culinary school for the Orange County School of Performing Arts, which is just a great capper to an enormous career. And we now refer to him as Chef Emeritus because he's always welcome in our house. We were really lucky, I don't want to say one door closed and the other one open, but in walked this young fellow, Chef Tiok. Now, Chef T, as we affectionately call him, is he's Cambodian Chinese. He loves seafood. We made certain that he and Pete worked for a long time together to ensure that our core menu items were consistent, and that Chef T, this is how you're going to do Chef Pete's menu, which is great. And he's got that down pat. And now we're getting some Chef T items on top of it. So, for instance, we did a char-seared lobster claw bao bun that was so over the top great. It was superb.
I'm
So we're going
starving.
to have a little more Asian fusion in there. I had a restaurant in Maui called the Lahaina Mai Tai Lounge, and I'm proud to say that we won from the Reader's Choice Award the best Mai Tai in Maui for 5 years in a row, and we beat the Stevensons, which was a tough putt. So you got to come in and have a Mai Tai.
Mai Tais are very dangerous. They
And
don't
then,
look dangerous.
Don Beach, who created the Mai Tai, although Vic Bergeron from Trader Vic said that he did, Don the Beachcomber, had a rule that you could only have two, and then he cut you off. So it's the real deal.
Wise.
We don't skimp. We don't just put a floater on top and you say, oh, isn't that great? We have a beautiful outdoor bar. We've added some new beautiful indoor-outdoor windows to, sort of take better advantage of our proximity to the water and the beautiful views. We love our Thai calamari. We love, if you're going to have fins, the swordfish came off the backside of Catalina probably 20 hours ago.
Wow.
And it's always a good bet. We get some beautiful opa from Honolulu every other day. And if you like steaks and you want to go there, we only serve prime, and it's delicious, wonderful. And I will tell you that the great secret of Gladstone's is our sushi. We have a little fellow, Oaxaca, who's been with us since day one. And Oaxaca goes up to these sushi competitions in the heart of Little Tokyo. And I mean, this is like going into Karate Kid country, in that these senseis and these sushi masters, they are beyond traditional. And he goes up there and he always winds up on the podium in these competitions. And I'm like, yes.
But you would have caught a few fish when you were sailing. As you're passing the Aussies for the America's Cup or something, you would have thrown out a line and sinker and a hook and pulled in some beautiful fish yourself.
I really do love fishing, and I love fishing with my father-in-law and our sons, and it's just really fun there. We like to go to Alaska, and we've done some salmon fishing up there. We've gone shrimping, and we do a lot of crabbing at their home in Washington.
Sounds fantastic. I can't wait to be charged double. It's worth it. John Sangmeister, look, a pleasure talking with you. We'll do this again when things get
really great to see you. Thank you so much for including me in the show.
Yeah, lovely. All the best. Now, before we go, we've got to know a web address so someone can check you out.
www.gladstones, plural, longbeach.com. gladstoneslongbeach.com. And you can follow us on Facebook, Gladstones Long Beach. And we look forward to welcoming you to our store.
Yeah, I'll probably bypass the Mai Tais and stick with a maybe margarita or 20. I mean, they're my favourites.
We can do that.
Yeah, they're very dangerous too.
And we're good with the mojito too. We won the best mojito
really?
competition.
Now, they're scary. They're scary, but that's another conversation.
You know what W.C. Fields said? All roads lead to rum.
John, thank you very much.
Have a great evening.